quote happening for you. And what ultimately is happening is that you are pulling them towards you. You know, you ever find that when you're really, really depressed, all of a sudden your car won't start. All of a sudden your computer breaks. All of a sudden someone's mad at you for something you didn't even realize you did, you know, but the opposite happens, you know, of the same spectrum. You change everything so it's so positive and you start to see the positive in everything. Then all of a sudden, magic money comes to you, or you meet someone who inspires you or asks you to be a part of a project that, whether just work or just hobby, is something that inspires you and motivates you and makes you feel really, really great about the planet and about yourself and about the universe and connects you to everything. You know, all of a sudden these opportunities just start arriving for you because you're not sucking yourself down into the abyss. As Mr. Leahy would call it, the shit abyss. So, and granted, considering, you know, this as an aside, you know, considering I talk about certain shows and things like that and I laugh about it and stuff, you can see that see, my real issue with the conditioning and the mind control that's happened through television and through movies, and also the predictive programming that happens, and also the fact that, you know, they put together shows like Stargate and all this other stuff and give you real information of things that have happened or are currently happening. And then when you mention these kinds of things like, oh, I heard this whistleblower who talked about Stargates that take you from one place to the next, whatever else, this person will be skeptical because they'll go, oh, you just heard that on X-Files. Oh, you just heard that on Stargate Atlantis. Oh, you just heard that on Star Trek. You know what I mean? This is why information, along with misinformation, is presented to us in our movies and books and TV shows and the music industry and the music videos. Oh my God. And if you have not visited vigilantcitizen.com, please do it. So anyway, you know, that's why this is all presented to us. So then when we say things that whistleblowers have said, and even if there's documentation and evidence to support it, people will go, you know, the skeptics who always want proof. I think that's another human confine that we've put ourselves into. They will say, oh, you just read that somewhere, or you just saw that in a video, or you just blah, 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 blah. And just immediately discredit it. Meanwhile, making us people, the conspiracy theorists, the tinfoil hat wearers, you know, and that's ridiculous because most conspiracies can be proven with whistleblower evidence and whistleblower testimony and documental evidence. And these are things that hold up in court. So if you're the kind of person who does, and you're probably not listening to my show if you are, the kind of person who does put faith and stock into the sick system in any way, shape, or form, then whatever. It's one of those days, people. It's, what is the date? June 22nd. This may be another reason, too, that I am, that I feel so much brighter today, because we're looking at a master number day. And that always brings about really good positive energies. So, master numbers 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, yada, yada. It's kind of gray here, and it was raining last night, but I absolutely love it. So, because we need a break from the heat. That's all that's new with me. What's new with you? I would love to get your comments, your ideas, your constructive criticism. You know, we live in a tough world sometimes, but it is a really beautiful world. And actually, before I do go, I do want to read this to you because I have talked today about something that could be deemed quite negative and maybe quite destructive on the psyche. And I want you to know that I am not one of the people who are at war with your mind. I would like to expand and open your mind, not contract it and close it and poison it. And which is what the controllers and the global elite have done to us from the very, very, very beginning with all their doctrines and garbage, pure garbage. So what I would like to do is read you this because it is very uplifting. And I want you to remember that you are this galactic, intergalactic, universal, incredible human being. Yeah, your awesomeness. So I wanted to leave you with this because today is a little darker and a little gloomier. the topic. And I obviously am not. And but I want to leave you with this. I want to leave you walking away going, oh, okay, I got some information. Now I'm interested in researching more about this. But I also came away feeling empowered, because I think it is so important. You know, I've come across a few people in my own personal life who have said to me, why do you focus on all this stuff? Blah, blah, blah. It's so negative. But I think it is so important for us to be aware of this. And then battle it, so to speak, you know, make the observations about what's happening in the world, about what the governments are doing, what is really behind the quote unquote medical industry and religions. And we need to question this stuff and traditions, like I said last week. And as an aside, I can't remember which whistleblower said this, but I've heard it from a few different people along the line in my hours of research. And obviously it stuck with me that apparently there was a meeting in the late 50s where people were getting, like, you know, heads of state and everything were getting together, and they were talking about the medical issues that we are all dealing with based on a number of things. And basically, you know, one guy had stood up and said, I know this is really, really vague. I'm sorry. If I find the information, I'll post it. I'll talk about it again in the future and tell you where I found it. Because it was a while ago that I found this. And at this meeting, it was being explained. Actually, now that I'm saying it, I think that Robert Kennedy talked about it. So now I'm going to look for it for you guys, because it's important for me to find it too. That at this meeting, this collection of elites and heads of state and everything else, right? Heads of the doctor institution, the medical institution, I say in quotes, more like the money institution, poison for money. That's what it should be called. What the one person was saying when he was at the front, like the guy who was basically holding this whole thing, and it was in the late 50s, I want to say 1957, that he was saying, we have a cure for all these things. We have a cure for all of the diseases and all of the problems that people are going through, but we can't give them the cure, because if we give them the cure, they won't keep coming back for the prescriptions. It will put us out of business. This is one of the many reasons why, for example, cannabis is illegalized, because of the idea that it would put big pharma out of business. Because I don't know a lot of like pot smokers who turn around, especially those who are aware of the conspiracy behind cannabis. I don't know many people who are aware of it, who are also taking pharmaceuticals at the same time as smoking or eating or vaporizing cannabis. So just had to put that out there. It's just an interesting little anecdote. And I think it was Robert F. Kennedy. So I'll be looking that up. But anyway, I want to leave you with this. This was written on the 20th of June this year by, it looks like Father, Mother, God. And it's on the soundofheart.org website. Okay. The charade is over, home at last. The ocean waves come crashing in against the smooth white sand as energies of renewed life and a pure energy of love come pouring into the rocks and lands. We are separate no more, home at last. The charade is over as we take off our masks and look around at the family we had played with for so long in duality. We hug and remember the truth that we are God and co-creators, and we are all created from love, and we are all equal. The winds of change are among us as the ushering of an age begins a new life, a new story, and Mother Earth renews her lands. We now look ahead above the horizon and see our beautiful sun shining ever so brightly on our newly painted trees and sands. We feel the breeze of freedom gently dissolving the ego's last stand so that we can begin again with only love within as the true leader of this emerald planet made of love. The awakened human angels have made surrender a choice all souls have been seeking to remember since time began in separation, surrendering. Now we had to for the ultimate divine plan, where we become all one for the highest good and best outcome for all, and to usher into the earth unconditional pure love, the energy of the real name and the truth of our existence. Our hearts now see the vision of the golden age, with it the same joy and freedom, where heaven and earth collide, and we become one of joyous love, for this is the very truth and core. We are one of the same. Human angels are reaching for others, declaring they have made it to the land of the free and are well prepared to guide all out of misery. Take our hand. The path has been walked and now shown for all who have eyes to see and ears to hear. The truth of the heart is calling. This is why we all came, to witness the return of light and humanity free at last. We have stepped away from the illusion that fear is something real and have successfully dissolved the ego that was keeping all from being free to feel. Now to recognize unconditional love is finally here to uncover the truth of one's being, not of human thinking, for we are ready for spiritual living and being. Look for these angels as they appear before you, feeding the people the freedom of light, which is information, sharing with others about love, truth, one must allow and feel. The human angels are awake and now are walking among these lands, fulfilling the missions and contracts to bring love back into the hearts of man, and welcome all into the paradise, the Garden of Eden, in which was once only a dream, now truly manifested and waiting for all hearts to awaken for it to be seen. Can you now remember why we all came? The human angels have broken free from the bonds of their thoughts to the unlimiting potential of love forever after, to show the way into heaven with bliss, by being love in simple service, to laugh, to play, and simply just be. One must surrender and understand this is real, for when you awaken, you will see us there. Love in action, the highest possibility of thought ever manifested, because love has been requested, a sacred prayer now is answered. Life without worry, doubt, or fear, for we, the human angels, are guided gently by a divine